So I'm going to be attending SummerSlam live coming up tomorrow. And so instead of doing a review, which I won't be able to do because I won't be back in the States until Monday, and unless something major happens, which for all intents and purposes it might, maybe I'll cover it, but most likely I won't. I don't think I'll be doing a review on it, but I might. So I'll let you know. But I am going to do, just in case I don't cover a review, I'm going to do my predictions on SummerSlam 2023. It's going to be coming up August 5th, which is tomorrow, in Ford Field in Detroit. I will be in the building watching the show. So I'm going to give you my predictions for the matches on the show. First of all, the Slim Jim SummerSlam Battle Royal, because now Slim Jim is back with WWE, which is weird without Randy Savage, because Randy Savage was like the spokesperson for Slim Jim, right? Well, I don't know who's in the Battle Royal, so I can't pick a winner. So I'm just going to skip that one. Now, let's go ahead and get to the matches on this show. Gunther versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Intercontinental title. As much as I think people want Drew McIntyre to win, and as much as I think he probably needs a big win, I just don't see them taking the belt off of Gunther right now. Gunther's hot. He is on the warpath. His whole thing is that I think he is now the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion ever. I think he may have beaten Honky Tonk Man's record. If not, he's about to. So, since Triple H is kind of a mark for these, like, long title reigns, like Roman Reigns is, breaking records and whatnot, I could see Gunther retaining. I think there is a possibility that Drew McIntyre is going to win, and then he drops it back to Gunther later. And I think he probably needs the win because he was the one that got pinned at WrestleMania. But I still don't know if the right time is now to have Gunther lose that title. He's done such a great job, stealing the show. And I think this match has the potential to steal the show because, man, that WrestleMania match was awesome. Ricochet versus Logan Paul. Speaking of stealing the show, look, man, you can love or hate Logan Paul. It doesn't matter. The reality is he was kind of made for wrestling. This guy has picked up the business so much, so fast, so well. The guy does incredible moves. His buckshot lariat is probably better than Hangman Page's. He is a natural. I mean, he really is. Then we have Ricochet. I call him Ricochet for fun. But Ricochet, a few years ago, there were people who legitimately considered him the best wrestler in the world. Right? You could make that argument a few years ago. If you followed him on the indies, the dude was an absolute beast, especially with that series of matches he had with Will Ospreay. Look up Will Ospreay versus Ricochet on YouTube. Any of their matches are mind-blowing. Right? This will also be mind-blowing. I think Logan Paul is going to win. I think because he lost at WrestleMania and because Ricochet never gets pushed under Vince, it seems like an easy win for Logan Paul. I don't think I want him to win, but it seems likely. Then we have Asuka versus Charlotte Flair versus Bianca Belair, triple threat for the women's title. These are three really, really great women's wrestlers. Probably the three best in the company. Becky Lynch is there. Sasha Banks is not around anymore. She's in New Japan and she got injured recently. Well, Stardom, whatever. Japan. And then we've got, obviously, Bayley. Bayley. She got hurt too recently, but she's up there. But these three women, athletic, great stories. Listen, I went to WrestleMania 38 in New Orleans. No, 34 in New Orleans, excuse me. And the best match of the night was Charlotte versus Asuka. Just those two are going to have a good match. Throw in Bianca, who delivers in big-time performances. This could be match of the night, and I'm very much looking forward to this one possibly stealing the show. Who's going to win? I think I would keep it on Asuka. I really would. I know that the goal is probably to give Charlotte all those reigns, like her dad. But I think for now, keep it on Asuka. That's what I would do. Not sure if they're going to go that route. Then we have Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler in an MMA rules match. Now, I've talked about this before in my Discord and other places. Ronda Rousey's on her way out. I don't know if y'all know this, but there's been a lot of talk ever since Amanda Nunes retired from the UFC that Ronda's been talking about going back to UFC. Now that both UFC and WWE are under the same umbrella, it's going to be even easier for her to make the transition from WWE back to UFC. Now, a lot of people seem to think that Ronda's just going to go in there and just dominate. I don't think so. I think there's a lot of women in that company, Juliana Pena for one, who would probably destroy Ronda, but that's a different story. I think Ronda will lose this match. I think unless the feud continues, Shayna Baszler is one of her best friends IRL, and I love how they have realism into the story, and I think that Shayna Baszler will be choking Ronda Rousey out and sending her packing. She's leaving the company. I'm telling you now, she's probably not going to win this match. And to be honest with you, this last run of Ronda's has not been the best. Her first run from 2018 to 2019, again, I was there at Mania 34 when she debuted. It was great. But this last run, she seems absolutely miserable when she goes out there. She's not having fun. Clearly, she's not really like into it like she used to be. Obviously, the fans booing her got to her, which is really weird considering it's wrestling, and we've had we've had this situation come up before with other talents. Either way, I'm not a fan of Ronda right now. I'm not a fan of her at all. Shayna should win and then go on to challenge Rhea Ripley because Rhea Ripley does not have a match on this show, and I think a Shayna Baszler Rhea Ripley feud going back to the one they had in NXT in 2019-2020 would be phenomenal for the Raw brand. So I'm going to pick Shayna to win that one. Moving on. Seth Rollins, Finn Balor for the World Heavyweight title. I think this could be the show for Finn to take the title back. Let's not forget that SummerSlam, what was it, 2017, I think it was, is when they had that match where Finn became Universal Champion but was hurt. That whole thing went back to that. I think we could have a possibility here where Finn wins the title and then Priest cashes in on him, or Seth wins the match, Finn lays him out, and then Priest cashes in, and then we have a story where Finn is envious of Priest because he's the champion thanks to Money in the Bank. I think those are the two likely possibilities if they're going to do the cash in on this show. And for the big crowd they're going to have in the building there, over 60,000 people, maybe even up to 80,000, I think this would be the time to do it if they do it. But at the same time, I know that the World Heavyweight title was kind of designed so that Seth Rollins could have good matches and be the top babyface on Raw. So it could be like that. However, if you put the title on Priest, you've also got guys like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, who are the tag champions, as possible contenders for like a singles program down the road, plus more matches with Seth, or maybe even an up-and-comer. So to me, it seems like either way works. And I'm gonna pop if Finn wins the title, bro. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna pick Finn, but I could be wrong on that. Either way, Priest could cash in. Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. This has no stipulation, strangely enough. And I remember there was a report that it was supposed to have some kind of stipulation. There was a rumor I heard, it was probably BS, about there being a possible like dog collar match or something like that between the two. I mean, it's not happening. So without blood, because WWE is not really doing blood, having a match like that, I don't know, probably wouldn't work. Then again, Brock has oftentimes broken the rule of blood by going hard way. And maybe Cody, being the son of Dusty Rhodes, who was famous for using blood at his big main events, might want to be busted open by Lesnar. Either way, I think Cody wins the feud here and moves on to feud with somebody else on the Raw brand going forward. So I think Cody will win unquestionably. Then we have our main event. I think I've covered everything else. I have main event. Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso in tribal combat for the WWE Undisputed Universal title and the Tribal Chief crown. I think Roman Reigns is going to win this match. I do not think Jey Uso will win. I think we could see something, interference from Jimmy and Solo and Paul, and maybe other members of the Anoa'i family. We could see Alpha and Sika again. We could see Rikishi. I don't think we're going to see The Rock. There are other Samoans out there. I think Black Pearl, Jacob Fatu. I think Alpha Jr. I think there are other Samoans they can bring into this storyline now. I think, having the Usos on one side and then Solo, Roman, and Paul on the other is, fine for now. But I think to freshen up the bloodline, it may be time to bring in at least one new Samoan to kind of change the dichotomy and do new matchups and a new layer of the story. I don't think they're just going to go with Roman and Bobby Lashley next, even though it could be what they do. I don't think they're just going to jump onto that program next. I think the bloodline stuff will probably continue as far as like the Civil War goes. So I think bringing in more Samoans for that part of the story, I think makes sense. Either way, there's no way Jey Usos win the title. I think Roman will retain. I think Roman will not be dropping that belt until WrestleMania 40. That is my prediction on SummerSlam 2023. Let's see what happens tomorrow. And maybe I'll be right, maybe I'll be wrong. We'll talk about it. Anyways, what are your predictions? Let me know down below. I'll catch you soon. Take care of yourself.